Good evening. Coming up on the program tonight, it's going to be a jam-packed one. We got all kinds of news, portals coming and going, just a whole bunch of stuff. And Shane is in the orange and blue room. Before I start, I got to say congratulations to my 10-year-old granddaughter, Stella. Her team won the championship travel team in soccer last night or yesterday in Orlando. Congratulations, Stella. Way to go. Stand by. Coming up with the program tonight, we got a full house. Lots to talk about. Tell your friends and neighbors. The Buddy Martin Show is on the air.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Evening and welcome. My goodness gracious, all you portal freaks and recruiting geeks and all those people who love the stories about players coming and going. It's been a really bonanza for you today. I mean, this is like Christmas, 4th of July, signing day, Kwanzaa, all wrapped up into one, and a ton of activity. So much, I can't keep up with it. Just so much going on. Tonight, we'll try to catch you up. Shane standing by in the orange and blue room, brought to you by our friends at Titan MRI. And then we've got a quick hit from David Whitley, the Gainesville Sun. We'll get an update of the names that you need to know about who's leaving at Florida from Kyle Curtis, and then Franz Beard, the Iron Duke, around it, wrap it up. He's got his, I think, top 20 picks or so for out of the port. Let's go to the orange and blue room right now and talk to the QB himself, our good friend, and Raconteur, Tour, and he does everything. I don't know what all he does, 9 shows a week, and he does our show. We're glad of that, and tomorrow we get to do his. So, evening to you, Shane.
What's up, buddy?
Man, I can't keep up, Shane. It's been a crazy day. I've got a stat here. I heard this. I mean, there are a bunch of them out there, but this is just one I heard 4 o'clock today. Here are the most active people in the portal as of today, around 4 o'clock. Virginia Tech 10, Texas A&M, Virginia Tech 11, Texas A&M 10, Clemson 9, Ole Miss 9, and I don't know who that is, the other one. But
Washington State.
yeah, I guess it's Washington State, yeah. So I know you've had your show this morning. We knew there was change coming. Shane, did you ever think it'd be like this?
Yeah, I figured we'd have a ton. I think people need to realize just because kids are entering the portal, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing going on. You got to remember, we're 12 and 13 in the last 25 games, buddy. Don't think about that, okay? If my math is correct. We won 6 last year, won 6 this year. 12 and 13.
Yeah.
So that tells me we're not a very good football team. The transfer portal works both ways. It gives kids opportunities if they want to go elsewhere and play. It also gives coaches an opportunity to sit down with player X and say, we got a couple other players that we're looking at your position. You can hang around if you want, try to compete. If you don't, we wish you well. And I think that's what's happening a lot at the University of Florida, quite honestly. And I have zero problem with it. I did see a stat. Last year, buddy, there were over 3,000 kids that entered the transfer portal. Do you know what the percentage of guys getting picked up by other schools were?
Yeah, I saw I got all the stats down here. I know it's
Like
not
20. It was like 28%.
28%. Yeah, something like that.
Think about that. So
Yeah.
there's going to be a ton of kids that don't go anywhere, and it's a shame. But it's the way of the world now. like I told you, just because you're on scholarship doesn't mean you're going to stay on scholarship. Because I firmly believe that every coach in America now, in the past, when you signed that scholarship, it was pretty much you were set. As long as you wanted to be at that school, you would be there because they weren't going to take that scholarship away from you because it would hurt you in a recruiting in that area where that kid's from. Now, they don't give a damn. They're going to tell a kid basically what I just said. And if that kid wants to stay, great. But it's a way they can get rid of that kid to open it up for another spot.
Yeah, I was doing some math today with a friend on the phone. We were talking about this. And if you take the rough numbers, and we've talked about this a lot on your show and mine, just the rough numbers on what Billy's got coming in. I don't have the final tally on who's left. I think it's like 20 players so far. They're going to have at least probably 30 players that leave in there someplace. And they're going to get, 25 they can sign. And
I think they're unlimited this year for some reason to signing whoever they want.
It doesn't sound right. So, but I think
I've had terrible people, tons of people tell me that. Doesn't make sense to me either. But they can. I think they can. Some of your listeners probably know that follow recruiting, but I think they can sign as many as they want.
Yeah. So, a bunch of folks on here at night early. Say good evening to them. Kenny and Howard and Robert and Rob and Trey and Andy and Tony and on lots of folks on tonight. Yeah, we'll try to be as precise as we can about this. Here's some numbers I thought were really interesting. This was like 4 o'clock today, and I don't know what those numbers are now because they're fluid. At that point, 667 players had entered the transfer portal. And that's an all-time daily record. It's the previous high was 270 on November 21st. And guess how many quarterbacks, Shane?
I don't know the answer to that. Some that I've heard going in the portal, I haven't seen their names in there yet. So I would say 10.
Shane, there have been 62 quarterbacks in the portal.
Well, hang on a second. Let me answer this. How many of those guys have played?
I don't know about that. I'm just telling you, people in the portal. I don't know. Yeah. There's a kid on there today from Florida I never heard of, Jack Anders. Have you ever heard of him?
He's a walk-on.
But I'm not counting him. I'm just saying the numbers are, this is the numbers from the portal. I can't vouch for you or tell you how many of them have played, how good they are. But that's 667, and that's 62. Now, I hear Florida, I've heard all kinds of things, but I can't verify anything. I heard the Pitt quarterback is interested in him. What have you heard about?
Who?
Somebody posted 247, I believe, that the Pitt quarterback, is it Slodonis? What's his name?
Keaton Slovis, he just transferred. He'd have to sit out a year.
Well, I don't know. That's what they posted. So, again, we're dealing with a black hole here. We don't have any frame of reference at all we can go to say, this is what's out, except what's in the portal and what the school's announced. Now, the school hasn't announced that much. But let me just say this. We're completely brushing over. We buried the lead, as they say in journalism, with Anthony Richardson leaving. Now, we knew Osiris Torrance was going to be there. Anthony Richardson was probably going to leave. We reported last Thursday, Kyle Curtis did, that he cleaned out his locker and he was probably going to leave. And we were contacted by University of Florida saying that Anthony Richardson is still part of the team, which we put in the story. But we kind of knew because Kyle had sources on the team that told him he's gone. I don't know why he waited. I'm not sure why, but he did. Wish him all the best. I know there's mixed reviews about that, about whether he should go or not go. I know you and HBC and others have said maybe it's time for him to go on, and maybe it is. I held on for that romantic notion that we could have him back one more year. Maybe it wasn't the best thing, but he's gone, and now we're down to Jack Miller. So you got to coach me up on what you know about Jack Miller, because like they say, we don't know Jack.
Well, Jack could throw the football. Now, I don't know how well he can throw it now with his thumb. I know it's taking longer to heal than they anticipated, but he will play in the bowl game. He'll be the starter. I would assume Max Brown will be the backup. scholarship, and then Kyle Engel will be the third guy. Look, it's good we're going to a bowl game. It's a reward for the kids that are on the team. I don't care if we show up with 45 guys. You go play. The outcome is not going to have any bearing on recruiting. It's going to give some young guys opportunities to play. People talk about we're not going to get 15 practices in. That's so overrated, the whole 15 practice thing anyway. Look, we get to play our bowl game, get it over with. And I know that it comes at a bad time because I think that Saturday is the first day of the early signing period. But Jack Miller's going to get his shot. And I wouldn't read a whole lot into it. If he plays great, that's wonderful. If he doesn't play great, they're going to sign somebody out of the transfer portal that has played a lot of football, that has thrown a lot of completions, thrown a lot of touchdowns.
Any names?
I mean, everybody.
Sam Hartman?
Sam Hartman, Michael Pratt, obviously Drake May, but I think Drake May will be wearing crimson for the Alabama Crimson Tide next year. I think the
Shane,
the guys
excuse me
that-
1 second. On your end, I got something static here. Are you near your microphone somewhere? Is it rubbing against something? But we keep hearing something like it's rubbing against the mic or something.
No,
Okay.
My mic is in the computer, and I'm sitting back here.
Okay. Anyway, it's coming from someplace. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, we don't know what they want. I do know that they want somebody who is thrown for a bunch of yards, thrown for a bunch of touchdowns, can run an offense, can make decisions, can throw accurately. And, there's the NC State quarterback who's a big prospect. Devin Leary's a really good player. His name is in the portal now, so I'd look out for him possibly. So, look, here's the problem, buddy. We ain't the only person looking for a quarterback that's played. That's the problem. So, I mean, fans are going to get upset if player X that we want signs with somebody else for whatever reason. That's just the luck of the draw. But it's imperative that we find somebody that knows how to play, can lead, and do all that stuff. We have to find that guy.
Yeah. All right, let me do this. Let me take a little quick break right here, and I'm going to ask you to reboot and come back on and see what we can do about this sound. Might be on our end. So we'll be right back with Shane, talk more about what's happening in the transfer portal, take your questions. Coming up in just a minute, David Whitley will join us. And meanwhile, these folks want to thank Shane. Titan MRI.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
All right, thanks very much. Titan MRI. Don't forget to sponsor Shane every week. Shane's soon off to the world of professional football as a coach, and we'll keep tabs on him here. All right, Shane's back with us now. And Shane, this is the most exciting and confusing time in college football history. It's exciting to think how quickly, and I was telling somebody today, Billy is kind of set up for this, because he's got his support staff intact, 100 strong, a year under their belt. He's got a $100 million facility. He's obviously got his prospects scoped out. I'm not sure how they do this transfer portal thing and how they cannot have people calling them saying, I want to come to just whatever. But the fact is, I think he has now got the opportunity to do the coaching job of his life between now and when they kick it off against Utah. My goodness, they look good. Next fall in Salt Lake City, how fast can they get somebody ready? And if it's Jack Miller, can he be ready to play by then, Shane?
Absolutely can. I think they're with the people they add in the transfer portal, buddy, and I don't even know who they are. I think this team will win 9 games next year. I really do believe that. And the reason I say that is because I trust Billy Napier and his evaluation process. The best players on this year's teams were guys that they brought in. I mean, that's facts. Those are the guys that produced. And you add more players to the pie through the portal. You add the kids they're bringing in from high school. I think this team will be way better than this past year.
Okay, well, they've lost their best offensive lineman. They got some pretty good ones coming back. Their wide receiver position, certainly Pearsall is the key there. They've got to get a few guys ready and well. Jaquavion Frazier's been one of them, and guys hurt. They've got to find some more guys to catch the ball. Defensive linemen, obviously, are key. Here's a guy who popped up today. Now, again, this is not official. This is the graphic somebody posted. I think it was 247. Big stud from Louisville. Gators have offered Louisville transfer defensive lineman Caleb Banks, who is now a big name in the portal. Banks is 6'7", 300 pounds, redshirt freshman. Could potentially visit Gainesville this weekend. So they got that going on, and apparently a couple of 5-stars visiting. They're going to have to rebuild this thing in a hurry, Shane.
But buddy, you're not. But listen to me, buddy. We won 6 games this year.
No, I don't really care about the past. I'm talking about what's going forward.
Right. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody's in a panic mode because people.
I'm not in a panic mode.
It is a good thing. That's what I'm trying to tell my buddies.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on in the program. Did you not watch us play football the last 2 years? That's what blows my mind when fans get upset that whether we're getting rid of them or kids want to leave, it's not like we're a 12-0 team with people leaving. I mean, the roster has not been good, and I'm telling you right now, it will be way, way better next year.
No, I hear you. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying this is what it is. And we don't know yet what they got. I will say this. I thought this guy could play. I thought, but for whatever reason, he didn't stay. Josh Braun. He's a smart guy. Apparently today he's committed to Arkansas. And I don't blame him. Sam Pittman is certainly a good offensive line guy. And Josh Braun will probably start for Arkansas. So there's one. They're going to be wins and losses. Going to win some, going to lose some.
I mean, you got to look at Josh Braun. He had a relationship with Sam Pittman because he chose Florida over Georgia when Sam Pittman was there. But for whatever reason, he may start at Arkansas and he may have a great career. But for whatever reason, Billy Napier and this staff didn't think he was good enough to play here.
I get it.
So,
he did start for a while, but
I think that wasn't under Napier though.
Then he started the season as a starter. Anyway, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just noting this is the first one we've heard of leaving and going to another SEC team, which we're going to see more of. I get it. I know we're going to have some of those, and I was sure, and I don't blame him. Jermon Dexter today was a big loss. He's coming out early playing in the NFL. He was the guy you needed in the middle of that line, but hopefully there'll be somebody to take his place. So we'll see. Anthony Richardson, the 4th Gator player to announce he's going to go away into the draft. I wondered, did you ever think at any point he'd consider staying?
No.
Okay. You've been consistent on that. So how would you sum up his 2 years here? 3 years, actually.
Well, I mean, it was kind of how I thought it was going to go. We all know he has all the raw tools. He was blessed by the good Lord with ability that a lot of people don't have. But a lot of it has nothing to do with playing quarterback. I hope it works out for him in the NFL, rooting for him, and it may click one day. But I just don't see how he will ever be a consistent player. And again, that's not that. I would say that about a lot of people. Like the quarterback at Clemson is the same way. I don't care where he goes; he is going to be inconsistent his entire career. Because
Ungalele, can you say it? I can't even say it.
DJU, right? That's what I call him. But look, it's not. It's just stating facts and what has happened. And it's nothing against him. And I hope he gets drafted in the first round. I hope he makes a ton of money. I hope he goes to a good situation where he can concentrate on football 24/7 and maybe become a good player in that league. But, it ain't easy. It ain't easy because I have seen not just at quarterback, but wide receivers and running backs and guys that were unbelievable players just don't make it. And they may make it 3 or 4 years for whatever reason. There's just so many other things that go into being a productive player in there. They talk about potential, but you rather have production over potential. So we'll see. But it does not surprise me one bit that he was leaving.
People like Laura Crane here says the transfer portal is going to kill college football. There's also people saying NIL is going to kill college football.
The NIL is worse than the transfer portal. I don't have a problem with the transfer portal because kids want to play. But the problem is a lot of people are going into the transfer portal because they're trying to make more money at another school. And but yeah, the NIL is the worst thing that could have possibly happened for college athletics.
Is what it is. Who knows what it is? Yeah. So all right, let's talk about the bowl game. Gonna be a rough go.
Well, how do we know that?
Well, I can pretty much assume since you have a quarterback who's never played down, it's not going to go well. So
you never know. He could go in there and light it up.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
That's fine. You take the over, I'll take the under. But anyway, that's okay. I know there's risk everywhere you go. There's nothing you can do about it. The hand he was dealt. But there is a stat out there talking about what Billy's quarterback room looked like when the season started. Boy, is that different, huh? Goes to show you how things can change in a hurry.
Well, it was never. I mean, I think I told you in the summertime I didn't think it was a great quarterback room.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. Well, at one point they had Kitten. It looked like he was coming on pretty good at the end, at least as a temporary fix. Let's talk about, in the remaining time, I want to talk about Deion Sanders. He lit it up in Colorado. People said, "Oh, he's not going to go to Colorado." Guess what? Colorado made him a good offer. I read the details.
But they don't have the money yet to pay him. That's what's crazy. Okay. Did you hear the athletic director's comments?
I know that market a little bit. There's a lot of money out there, and Colorado's got some rich alumni. I used to work for one of them. He's no longer alive. But here's the deal. His contract, apparently, he gets, if he leaves, he has to pay him back money. $10 million if it's after the second year, $8 million after the third, $5 million after the fourth. He got a deal at it's $15 million in liquidated damage if he leaves the school after the first year. People out there are really excited about it, and he's already made a lot of noises out there. He'll get a ton of recruits. Talk about the portal. They'll come flying to Boulder now with this guy here. Think of him what you will as a person, whatever. I think he's an attractive guy. A lot of younger people think he's really terrific. He was successful. He did a nice job when he went 25 games at Jackson, and he helped his HBCU program. And there's a lot of excitement. I wouldn't want him to recruit against me right now. And Florida caught a break that he didn't go to USF because that would have hurt some of their recruiting.
Maybe, maybe not. I'm kind of leaving the door open to see how it turns out at Colorado. It's going to be interesting. I'll say that. I like some of the stuff Deion does. I don't like some of the stuff he does. I thought it was silly. He sitting there telling these kids they're not going to wear hats and this, that, and the other jewelry, and he wears 3 or 4 chains, and he was wearing a hat while he was speaking to them. So we'll see how it works out. I do think he'll get a lot of players. But playing at Colorado is going to be a little bit different than playing in the SWAC. And you know who he opens up with, buddy?
USC? I don't know. No.
TCU.
TCU, yeah. By the way, that was a really good football team. I was a little surprised they got in. I know everybody thought, well, I'd have to, looking back on it, I've got to put Alabama in there, in my opinion. I think they're a better football team. I think they'll beat all those teams except Georgia. And I think
here's the thing that I do agree with that, but that's the problem with college football. You shouldn't have people going, okay, who are the 4 best teams? Because we don't sit here in another 4 weeks and go, who are the best 4 teams in the National Football League, right? I mean, think about the Cincinnati Bengals. They barely made the playoffs last year, and they go to the Super Bowl. So that's why we need 12-team playoffs, because I'm telling you right now, there would be upsets if we had a 12-team playoff.
Well, we got it. We got it. We're good. We got that.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying if they had the 12-team playoff, you'd have Tennessee in, you'd have Alabama in, Utah would have made it, and it would have been great. This would have been the perfect year to do it. But anyway, Georgia's clearly the best team. I think they got a raw deal, though, having to play Ohio State. I feel like they should be playing TCU, but we'll see.
All right, so the Heisman finalists are in. My ballot is cast. I don't like to say until the end who it is. They aren't supposed to. But I tell you, it was a tough one. One of the toughest years. I was tweeting back and forth today with a guy from the CP Times, Tampa Bay Times, about it. It's a tough call because going in this weekend, I thought Caleb Williams was a slam dunk. Then Utah comes along and gets knocked out and knocks them out.
But what does that have to do with the Heisman Trophy?
A lot.
How?
A lot. Because you have to be a last man standing. To be able to,
Okay, then how Tim Tebow
Hang
win?
on. I voted in it for 50 years. I can tell you how I vote. And how I vote is I don't always vote. I do take into account the season. But I got to tell you, this is not a trophy for courage and playing hard. The fact is that they didn't get it done at the end. Impressive team, impressive effort. He was hurt. Unfortunately, so was Marcus Mariota. So was the quarterback from Oregon the year Tim won. He got hurt. He had a great season. And he got
Okay. So how did Tim? But my question is, if you're saying the last man standing, Tim Tebow went 7-5.
I know, but he was the best player all year long.
Caleb Williams is clearly
I
best
get to
player in
vote.
America.
I get to vote, and I didn't vote for Caleb Williams, number one.
Okay, well, that's fine.
And
I don't know.
Max Duggan, by the way, was brilliant. His coach made a mistake. What they called, he ran him up and down the field and got to the 2-yard line, 1 yard line, and didn't give him the ball for 2 downs, and they didn't score, and they got beat. A guy that we don't like, but how could you not at least think about Stetson Bennett?
Look, I'm the number one fan of Stetson. I'm the number one fan of Stetson Bennett. I've been saying it for 2 years that he should be playing for Georgia, but he's had a great year. But I don't know how he made it. Just because he's on the best team does not need to mean he should win the Heisman Trophy.
All right, so what do you think it should be?
I think it should be Hendon Hooker. I think
he didn't make it, by the way.
I know he didn't, but why?
I voted for him. He got one of my 3 votes.
I don't know how he didn't
because he got hurt, and fans are about what
he missed one.
Fans
game,
are about what is happening.
Well,
now.
that's the thing. They need to take all these votes.
There's a little problem there with being in the moment. I grant you. I text back and forth today with Matt Baker about this. You have to consider the season. But we're prisoners of the moment now in this world.
All right. Well, I get that, but that is totally wrong because you look at Johnny Manziel, you look at Marcus Mariota, you look at all these guys that have won the Heisman Trophy in the past. It had nothing to do with playing in the Final Four for the national championship. Now, there's a handful, the Gino Torettas, Werfels, and things like that, had great years and won a national title. But I think it is absolutely absurd, in my opinion, and I don't vote, that Hendon Hooker's not there and Bryce Young is not there because Bryce Young had a better year this year than he did last year. And by the way, he didn't win the national title last year. Okay. So I think it's ridiculous to all the Heisman voters that Hendon Hooker and Bryce Young did not make it. And if Caleb Williams was not on USC, they would be 6-6 at best.
That's the reverse thinking, though. All right, let me ask you, who do you throw out? Here are the 4 other guys: Caleb Williams, C.J. Stroud, Max Duggan, and Stetson Bennett. Who do you throw out?
I would throw C.J. Stroud. I think he'll be the first pick of the draft, but he has not had a Heisman year. He does not deserve.
I didn't vote for him.
I didn't vote. If I'm voting, he's not even on my ballot. Right. I love Stetson Bennett. I've been a proponent of him for 2 years. I've argued with the Paul Feinbaums. I've argued with Buck Bellew about him. He's had a remarkable career. It's a great story. He does not need to be there, in my opinion. My guys would be Caleb Williams, Hendon Hooker. I like Max Duggan. He would probably be one of them, but I would definitely have Bryce Young, Hendon Hooker, Caleb Williams, and I personally think Caleb Williams has had the best year of anybody in college football. I think he's the best player in college football.
Well, some people agree with you. He's on the final. We'll see who gets there. I don't think he'll win, but that's just me. And
you don't? Who do you think's going to win?
Honestly, I don't know.
I think Caleb Williams is going to win
I
bigger
don't
than
know.
people
I just
think.
got a feeling he's not. Unless he gets a simple. They got clobbered. And he, listen,
But buddy,
I
you got to
get it. I
remember.
know. I saw the game. I know he got hurt and all that sort of stuff. I get it. I understand. But in my opinion, as a voter, you have to be still standing at the end, and he was barely. And I have a lot of
So,
respect.
let me ask you this. If you were to wait till the playoffs are over to vote, and the Michigan Wolverines win the national title, are you going to vote J.J. McCarthy?
No, but he might be in my three. So, but I tell you who I'd vote for. I thought about it, and a guy that I think really I had a great. If they'd scored, he'd be a hands down winner. Max Duggan, I think, would have won it. But we'll see. I don't know who's going to win. I don't know. Listen, tell me what we got before we go here. Tell me who you got on the show tomorrow, and who's counting noses for you in the transfer portal.
Oh, ain't nobody. Nobody's counting transfer portal for me.
How many do you think that Florida's lost?
Oh, I think to the portal or just off the team.
Off the team.
I think we're at 27 or 28, which is perfectly fine with me.
You predicted 30, I think, right? Didn't you?
Yeah. And I think you'll see a few more. But like I told you, once they're done with the portal and signing class, the team will be a better team immediately before they play
Okay,
again.
I hear you. You've been saying that the whole time. If they don't win 8 games, it's your fault, okay? I want you to know
I
that.
think they're going to win 9. Now,
Okay.
I will tell you how many they're going to win once I know who the quarterback is.
It would be nice to know who the players are before you make a prediction.
Well, I still, because I trust,
All
from
right.
what I've been told, they're going to get a guy.
Well,
who
tell
can
us.
Well, no, I've already given you my guys.
All right. I'm writing it down. Shane says they're going to guarantee to win 9 games and get a guy who'll come in here and throw for 30 touchdown passes, right?
I didn't say 30, but he will throw for probably over 3,000 yards
All right, 3,000
and
yards.
25 touchdowns.
So you're pulling a Steve Spurrier. You're like, I don't know who it'll be, but whoever it is, when he plays, will lead the SEC in passing.
Because
that was you, by the way.
Because they're going to bring somebody in that has done it
All right.
and does it at a high level. And I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer that. So, buddy, here's where I want you to jump on board. Name off the best players on this Florida football team.
I can't yet.
No, that you just saw play this year. The top performers.
Well, they're hurt. I mean, a lot of them are hurt. I mean, Miller is
No.
one of them.
I will help.
Miller was
help.
one.
I will help you.
Gervon Dexter was one, in my opinion.
No.
Of course.
The best players on this team that produced it.
I know they're all brought here by Billy. I know you said
Billy.
that. Yeah, we said that.
There was one that was left over that I thought played at an extremely high level in Rashad Torrent.
All right. Well, he did play well, so you're right. Shane, I'll see you in the morning on your program. All right?
All right, buddy. Enjoyed it.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Shane Matthews. Caught up with Matthews real quick. We're running behind. We got to go to we got fans in the orange and blue room, and this guy in the orange and blue room, David Whitley. David, how you doing, buddy?
Good. I still want a chair like Shane has. That looks like about a nice $5,000 leather.
I know. He sits
Corinthian
back and
leather
watches
outfit.
Monday Night Football doing that too. So listen, thanks for being on tonight. We're kind of got behind. Sorry, but I want to get your take today on what happened to this football team and the players that left the portal and how you feel about it.
Well, I can't say I was really surprised, that they did. It's just the nature of the beast these days. You're gonna, it's hard to think. A few years ago, I forgot who the first guy who opted out of the bowl game was, but he was seen as sort of like a Judas Iscariot type. How could you turn your back on your team and this thing? And now it's just standard operating procedure. And it's sort of like if you don't leave, people are wondering what's wrong with you. I can see the rationale unless you're playing for something that really counts. Why would AR go out there and risk getting hurt in the Vegas Bowl against Oregon State? So in a way, I think far this is not the end of 2022 season. I think it's the beginning of the 2023 season. Way to look at this bowl, and it's just a preview of some of what's to come. Although obviously what you're going to see in 2 weeks won't resemble what you're going to see next September. But it sure adds a level of intrigue to the quarterback spot. Anyway, lead into that game.
All right, so two thoughts. First of all, I'll ask you the question Shane asked me. Name the best players on the team this year.
It'd be Osiris Torrance, number one. In spurts, Anthony Richardson. In spurts, he would be one of the not best players. Rashad Torrance, because of course Ventrell. Montrell Johnson was steady throughout the year. Ethan White, good. Along that line, you can find some guys. Javon Dexter was sort of inconsistent. I think he'd say he could have had a better year, but relatively speaking, he was one of the better players out there. Beyond that, I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but nobody, pops into my head.
Pearsall.
Pearsall.
And the two running backs and Osiris. Most of the players were brought in by Billy. That was a change point. So, how do you feel about putting together a team real fast now? All of a sudden, they got a short period of time to do it. Can they get it done that fast?
Well, they're going to have to. Yeah, I mean, they'll put a product out there. Again, it's just going to be real interesting to see. Now, I'm presuming it's Jack Miller.
Well, who else would it be?
Well, exactly.
Unless it's me or you, right?
Yeah. It's just that he's just been a mystery this year because he was supposed to be ready after a couple of games. Obviously, he wasn't. But back from the thumb surgery, and then Jalen Kitna, got a few reps, but it wasn't like he was. This wasn't exactly Tua backing up Jalen Hurts. It wasn't like everybody was clamoring for him. And I would have thought that Jack Miller would have come in and sort of regained his backup spot that he had going in. But maybe they just thinking, well, we'll just hold them back this year and see what happens with Kitten. And well, what happened obviously was not what anybody predicted.
Right.
But I'm interested to see what Miller can do. I mean, obviously the kid hadn't taken a snap in more than a year. So there's going to be some rust and all that, but I'm assuming he's healthy and ready to go. And you're right. After him, you are down to, a true freshman who really has never played, and and a walk-on who never played. So, thank goodness Jack Miller did come down. Better late than never. They're getting around to him.
I brought in France. I want to ask you guys an opinion together, a little discussion here about this bowl game. And what will happen now with the limited number. France has got a roster count going on too, and I'm thinking about, well, is it worth the practice and what's it going to be like? And gosh, it could be brutal. France, good evening to you.
Good evening, guys. How you doing, David?
Fine, France. How you doing?
All right, so guys,
another day here in paradise, and with the incredible shrinking roster.
Yeah. So let's dive right into that subject, okay? And I'll ask you first, David, and then Franz. What was the one move today on the roster, either coming or going? We don't know who's coming yet. On Florida, that surprised you the most and concerns you, David?
Well, as I said, nothing really surprised me. Concern-wise, you're not going to replace. You're not going to replace, obviously, anybody, Osiris, although he announced it yesterday, and AR, you're not going to replace. Everything's a concern. It's funny. You wonder if the way this whole phenomenon has evolved. It is so depleted, these bowl games, because everybody thinks, okay, yeah, it's good for the roster turnover, but you're only getting half of the roster turnover now. Everybody's left. Nobody's come in, and this is repeating itself, everywhere, not just Florida, and so. It's almost like these bowl games are really turning into online, just glorified scrimmages. I don't know what Oregon State's situation is. It'd be interesting to find out. I doubt that they'll be as depleted as Florida. I doubt they're going to lose their starting QB and the best offensive lineman and best defensive lineman and all that. But nothing really. Everybody who did announce they were going out, I think everybody expected to be. There was some little drama with AR, but I don't think anybody should have been stunned that he announced he was going out.
France all-time daily record today, 667 last time I heard. Maybe there's more by now. Players in the portal. This breaks the one-day record set November the 21st, which is 270. So, which one of those changes, departures at Florida, surprised you the most and concerned you the most?
Well, I'm not really surprised that anyone would leave. I was thinking that Chief Borders would be here because he was so committed toward Florida during the recruiting process. I mean, he was a kid that stuck with Florida. Everybody in the world tried to flip him, and he stuck with Florida. He was so intent on being a Gator. So he surprised me a little bit.
Me too.
But not really all that much, because here's the thing. You got guys that haven't played, and they can see the handwriting on the wall. They know that Billy Napier is going to bring in guys who are that they didn't play with this roster. How are you going to play when he starts bringing in a flood of more highly regarded recruits and experienced guys from the transfer portal? Guys are reading the handwriting on the wall and saying, I got to get the heck out of here while the getting is good. So this is what's happening is guys are just saying, what's that old Southern saying, one step ahead of the jailer? Well, in this case, it's one step ahead of being told you're not going to be exactly high on the depth chart next year.
Yeah, I think it might have been one step ahead of the sheriff or landlord. But anyway, the point is you're right. And all right, so let me ask you and David this question. Let David go and do what he's got to get ready to do tonight. Thanks for being on the program, David, and of course, France. Heisman. I sent my vote in yesterday. I changed it twice before I sent it in. I can't say who I voted for. But the finalists came out tonight, and I'm sure you heard who they were. David, did you agree with those choices? Who was left off? Who was on? Who was off? What do you think?
I was a little surprised that Bryce Young didn't get there. To me, he was. You can make a good argument for anybody, but I think the argument for Bryce Young, without him, Bama would have lost 2 or 3 more games. From the first time I saw him last year, it was his first big start. I remember when in Gainesville, they played a couple of easy games, and he came, and he was unflappable, and he is just, to me, he is just a Heisman caliber player every game, given that he won last year, it would have taken him to have a better year and Bama to be undefeated for him to win it again. So I'm not surprised he's not going to win it. But I thought he certainly deserved to be there. Now, who you'd bounce out, I don't. Heard Shane talking about Stetson Bennett. I mean, Stetson Bennett is obviously there just for sort of a career achievement award. Good for him. Everybody who's there, you can make a good argument for. I mean, frankly, the 3 guys I voted for were all there. Let's put it that way.
I can't say who, and I can't either. But who do you think will win?
I'm leaning Williams. I think he'll win.
Mm-hmm.
Had Duggan. I didn't know that. Yeah, Duggan. Yeah. They both put on those those win one for the Gipper type performances at the end, and both came up short. That's sort of ironic.
Yeah.
But I just think that there's just too much USC panache, and people think that they have sort of a Lincoln Riley thing going,
right,
and they want to bring back the Trojans and all this kind of stuff, and I think that this would sort of scratch that itch that people have. Although my heart is sort of with Duggan. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Because he really impressed me, and I'd rather see a TCU guy win than a USC guy, frankly.
All right, David, good stuff. Read his column, The Gainesville Sun. Appreciate you being on the program, my friend.
Okay, I'll take care.
Take care. All right, Franz, who do you think's going to win, and why?
Max Duggan.
Mm-hmm.
I think Max Duggan's going to win it. I think there is a Lincoln Riley overload on this thing, that he's had all these other guys that have won it, and Southern Cal's had all these other guys that have won it. And, you can argue that, okay, he was hurt in the championship game. But, I would argue with you that the best quarterback on the West Coast was playing for Utah, and that's Cameron Rising.
Well, certainly, as I tweeted out, I said, when you look up the term tough little some bitch, one word, I see the pictures of Cameron Rising. That guy was amazing, wasn't he, France?
Oh, absolutely. And he's been that way all year. And he beat USC twice. That's why I say that, okay, that told me that he's a better quarterback than Williams. Caleb Williams is a talented guy. But Cameron Rising beat him twice head to head.
Yeah.
And I don't think, here's a guy that lost twice to the same team and the same quarterback. I don't think that gets you there. I think Stetson Bennett is more than just a plugger. I think he is deserving of being the second place finisher.
He was on my ballot. Like I see that. I'm not going to see wherever he was on my ballot. Just out of respect for what he did.
I don't think it's out of respect. Look at what he did.
I respect him because I put him on the ballot.
I mean, people. Here's the thing I will tell you about him. I'm going to pull up his stats real quick. In his game log against Oregon, 25 for 31. Okay, win. Against Florida, he throws for 316. Against Tennessee, 17 for 25, 257 yards. Against Mississippi State on the road, 25 for 37, 3 touchdowns. Against LSU, 23 for 29. In the biggest games, he comes up with what they need to win games. And people can say, we are too stat-oriented here. We tend to look at guys and give it to the guy that has the best stats. The 3 best football players in America don't have the best stats. The 3 best football players in America are Bryce Young, Brock Bowers, and Jalen Carter. Period. People can say what they want. Those 3 guys are better than any 3 guys you can name in the rest of the country. And 2 of them play for Georgia, which is kind of disgusting on my part. But the fact of the matter is, those are your 3 best football players in America. The Heisman's supposed to go to the best football player, not the best quarterback, but the best football player. Those are the 3 best football players, and none of the 3 of them will be there. I don't know if you saw the image, but it got saved all over the place. And that's Jalen Carter picking up Jaden Daniels like he was his 5-year-old child.
Great
and
picture.
Holding up a number one. Number one. I mean, this is a guy that gets triple teamed every single play, and he still makes plays. And everybody on the Georgia defense makes plays because of this guy.
That picture is the picture of the year. I mean, in my mind, in terms of what college football, you're right. And number 88, you could put him down as a Heisman guy. You could vote for him. What a football player he is.
An Apopka guy that left the state. Which goes to show. Yeah, he is. In Urban Meyer's day, that guy would have never left the state, much less he would have never left the University of Florida campus, much less the state of Florida. Just would not have happened. And this is what we've got to get back to recruiting wise. We got to get back to the best players in the state have got to come to the University of Florida. Period. And that's it. I'm all for getting back to that level again. Yeah. But if I who would I have voted for? I would have voted for Max Duggan, and I would have voted for him because of the fact that I think he was the best player that had a chance to win the Heisman Trophy.
Not his fault. The coach called the wrong players on the goal line too. He carried the ball all the way down there and then gets to the one, and they don't give it. They give it to the running backs instead. So bad call. Franz, I got a couple questions for you.
You give the keys to the Cadillac to the Cabana boy.
Rule of thumb: when I was playing quarterback a million years ago, if I had a guy coming that was carrying the ball all the way down, it's time to hand it off. I'd give it to the guy who brought us dance with the wrong you broke. but that's just me. All right, real quick, we're gonna go count some noses here. You been keeping up with this portal thing pretty good. We saw some go. There were some numbers out today. I read them earlier. The all-time record 667.
It's now 800.
Is it 800 now? Okay. The record before was. Well, I'll let you count the noses. And we got a guy who's counting them for us on the other end too, Franz. He's been watching closely at the names of the Florida roster that have changed. We're going to bring him on here just for a minute and they catch up tell us what he's got for numbers, names, and we'll go from there. And are you of the same mind as Shane that they'll get plenty of good football players and enough to win 9 games next year?
I will tell you right now, they will. It's going to be addition by subtraction. They're going to subtract guys that, quite frankly, either are not good enough to play in this scheme or for this coach, or who just don't fit. And they're going to bring in guys who can play. And that's the thing that's going to happen is they're bringing in guys that can get the job done. And, quite frankly, I as much as I don't like what the portal does, the portal here's what the portal has done, buddy. It has made kids say, okay, what's in it for me instead of, there used to be this thing about, okay, you love to play football. You love to play for your team. You love to play for your coach. Now you love to play for whoever's got the most money out there for you. I talked to somebody today who really knows a lot of stuff and knows a lot of people, who said, you cannot believe the bidding wars that are going on for NIL money right now all over the country. And you got guys leaving their school because what they're thinking is, well, I'm only getting $500 a month here at school A, and school B, I hear my buddies at school B, he's getting $1,500 a month, and I'm a better football player than he is. So
what did you expect? What did you think would happen?
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Of course it's what's going to happen. And again, we have only the NCAA to blame for this because they screwed it up back when they had a chance to do something about it. And they could, 5 years ago, when they first started this fight, what they could have done is they could have said, okay, we're not going to fight it any farther, but here's what we're going to do. And we could set it up with rules and regulations and all these other things.
All right.
Did they do it? Of course they did. And anything that Mark Emmert touches turns to crap. And that's just period. That's just the fact. And this guy can't even run a convenience store, and they got him running the NCAA.
All right, before you go on that tirade, let me just say, bringing this next guy, talking about getting it done, I want to say, brought to you by Renstar Medical Research. A proven reputation as a high-quality, patient-centered clinical research facility. Renstar Medical Research brings cutting-edge clinical research trials to Ocala in areas like Alzheimer's, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraines, fibromyalgia, along with many other conditions that affect our community. So check them out. Go to renstar.net. You might be able to be a part of one of these clinical research deals they've been doing. They've done over 700 of them over the years. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Speaking of a guy getting it done, Kyle Curtis last Thursday wrote that Anthony Richardson had cleaned out his locker and probably would be heading out. And the University of Florida said, wait a minute, not so fast, my friend. He's still with the team. Well, he's not with the team today, and Kyle's here. Good evening to you, Kyle.
Good evening. How are you guys doing?
Good. I know you've been counting noses over there. A lot of people today in the portal. A lot of people leaving the team for various reasons. I think Franz has got a numbers count somewhere too. So what's the latest on who left, Kyle, and who's going?
Yeah, so obviously, as Fran said, a record-breaking day for not only Florida Gator people entering the transfer portal, but college football as a whole. Here's the guys who have entered the portal as of now for the Gators, and this list is most recent to oldest. So quarterback Jack Anders, offensive line. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name, Yusuf Murgabal. I'm sorry.
Mugaril.
Yeah,
Mugaril.
defensive line, Jalen Lee, linebacker David Reese, linebacker Chief Borders, safety Corey Collier, safety Donovan McMillan, Naquan Wright, Lorenzo Lingard, Dejon Reynolds, Avery Helm, DeJuan Black, Griffin McDowell, Nick Elksness, Trent Whittemore, Kamar Wilcoxon, Marco Ortiz, and Josh Braun up to this point. And yeah, I can obviously see a few more people entering before that bowl game. And the whole college football world, I mean, if you go on social media right now, that's kind of what your feed is like. So
It's everywhere, though, friends. And I put this graphic up. This is just earlier today, as the graphic of the schools that are taking the hits. For Virginia Tech 11, A&M 10, Clemson 9, Ole Miss 9, and Washington State, I guess that is. That's just a one curse you look at it. So this is the world we're in right now, friends. And all change is not good. It's not all bad. In the end, I'll put this out to both of you to put a good spin on it, let's say, which I don't think is all bad. I think it's painful. I mean, I hate to see people like Trent Whittemore leaving, and I thought he had a great upside, and Ron Dexter and guys like that. But that's part of what you're dealing with because you don't really have a way to stop them. I think they could have done a better job with Trent Whittemore by getting him on the field a little bit. For whatever reason, they didn't play him. That, in my opinion, was a mistake, but what do I know? I'm just some dumb sports writer. But I do think this is an exciting and challenging and tricky time we're dealing with right now. And one thing about it, friends, I think we're talking about this today. Billy Napier has 100 people of support standing by ready. He has a brand new $100 million building. And he's got a reputation for treating kids the right way, and I think he's open for business. And we'll see how he recruits because that's what it is, even in the portal, who he winds up with, and how fast he can get him ready. The question is, can he field a team by the bowl game? First, you, Kyle, can he field the team by the bowl game?
I think he'll be able to field a team by the bowl game. And obviously, I think a lot of people in college football right now are kind of in frantic mode because all you're seeing right now is people leaving your program. And rightfully so. I mean, it's kind of scary, but at the same time, it's a little bit exciting. It's a new world of college football that we're seeing. And for us Florida Gators, I think that you touched on it a little bit with the facility. I think we have one of the most desirable spots as a transfer destination, new coach, a lot of things going in the right direction. I think we'll be able to field a team for the bowl game. And also I think it's going to be a super exciting offseason with kind of this full first swing of having the transfer portal and everyone entering in and out. So I think it's going to be exciting. I think we're going to, for that orange and blue game next year, we're going to be able to kind of, there's going to be a lot of eyes and fingers pointing everywhere. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I'm excited for this new era of college football.
Friends, transfer destination, pretty good term, huh?
Well, it's what we've got, and Billy Napier didn't make the rules. None of these coaches made the rules. The smart ones know how to use it and use it properly. And I'll go this far with it. You're not going to see anybody coming in here who is a one and done, who cannot A, start, and B, is not going to be a star. Start and star, the two S's for one and done. You don't bring in a one. Dan Mullen, I know was well intentioned when he brought in those three defensive tackles, but what he did was he put a Band-Aid out there when he needed a tourniquet. And the tourniquet was to bring in guys who could play, but he brought in three pluggers, and they didn't turn out so well. He'd have been just as well to bring in JUCOs or somebody else, but he didn't do that. You cannot bring in a guy that has only 1 year. You got to bring in guys that have at least 2 years to go, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to bring in guys with two, and I know this for a fact, he's bringing in guys with 2 years or more experience. We're going to bring in a quarterback, at least one, maybe two. And I'll throw out some names at you who might very well end up being here at Florida.
All right.
All right. Grayson McCall. He hasn't entered the portal yet, but he's going to. 78 touchdown passes, 8 interceptions at Coastal Carolina. He is a big-time player, and he may be here. Sam Hartman, another one. His name has been out there. Shane's been touting it. His name is going to be out there. He's not out there yet. He will be. Another guy that is big-time. I'm going to throw a name at you who's from St. Augustine, and a lot of people don't know who he is. But trust me, they do know him and know who he is. Austin Reed. He's from St. Augustine. Pedro Menendez. He led West Florida to the Division II National Championship. He transferred to Western Kentucky and this year threw for 4,600 yards and 36 touchdowns at Western Kentucky. He only has 1 year of eligibility. He would come in as a grad transfer. He would be the kind of guy that could step in, who could step in here and play immediately. And give him 1 year while Jalen Rashada gets his feet under him. Jalen Rashada is the future of the program. Make no mistake about it. But they're going to have a guy that is ready to go. They're not going to throw him to the wolves from day one. He may come in here and prove that he's ready for it. And if he does, more power to him. But the fact is, they're not going to throw him to the wolves unless they know point blank he is ready to go from day one. So they're going to bring in guys like that. Quarterbacks. By the way, 7 quarterbacks in the ACC out of their 14 starters are in the transfer portal.
Yeah, something like 60 some odd quarterbacks. Let's say goodnight to Kyle. Good job, Kyle. Have you back tomorrow night.
Good job.
Count. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
Keep up the good work. Promising young man there. All right, so friends, I'll let you close it out with those thoughts. Kind of give us the state of the art, the program, where we are, where we're going, what Gator fans can do to hang their hats on something, and what you see ahead.
Well, Florida is 6-6, and why are they 6-6? They're 6-6 because the other teams had better players. What Billy Napier did this year to keep the Gators close and keep the Gators very, very close to even being 10-2 or 11-1 was done with smoke and mirrors. But you're not going to, you lost 6 ball games. You didn't win 6. You lost 6. And you lost 6 because the other teams, for the most part, I'd argue Vanderbilt didn't have better players than Florida, but you could argue that the other 5 did. Kentucky, maybe you could say didn't, but even so, that Kentucky had experience that Florida didn't have, particularly on the defensive side. So you could argue that Florida could have been 9-3, 10-2, 11-1, but they weren't that because they didn't have enough good players to do it. And the idea that, okay, you can wait 3 years, 4 years for guys to develop, to have your good team, well, that's old school thinking, and it doesn't apply in this world of NIL. It doesn't apply in this world of transfer portals. You got a coach gets a lot of money. Billy Napier is making almost $7.2 million a year. He doesn't have 5 years. Used to be a coach got 5 years. And buddy, you remember those times when coaches got 5 years to develop their program. And at the end of 5 years, if they hadn't produced winners and things like that, or had the team well on the way toward winning, then you fired the coach, but only then. Now the window's 3 years or less. As we saw, Brian Harsin didn't even make 2 years there at Auburn. 3 years, if you aren't winning in 3 years, you're gone. So here's a coach that's responsible for not only his own job, but he's responsible for the jobs of his assistant coaches, of all these analysts and everything like this. Billy Napier is the CEO of about 200 employees, and he's responsible for all of them. And if he loses his job, they lose their jobs too. So he's got to act responsibly. He's got to do what it takes to be be a winner in year 2, and he's going to do it. We may not like it, but that's the way the weenie wiggles.
All right, very good. Franz, you're making plans for the holidays. I know you're looking for stuff. I just want to tell people this is a friend's doing this. She's for a good cause, and that's a gator. That's a real knit job for a stocking for Christmas. Franz needs one that size for all the goodies Santa's going to bring him. And I've got information how you can get in touch with that person. She'll make it personalize it. Put your name on it. She's a friend of mine. She's really a good person doing this for the right reasons. And I've had her name here written down. Well, I'm going to read it to you, and I'll give it to you if you DM me. And you can email me or DM me. It's called Julie's Designer Stocking. Information on orders, go to JUFL Packer at gmail.com. They're not expensive. And she can get them to you for Christmas. So if you need a stocking, orange and blue stocking, just go ahead and I'll get that address for you, and I'll put it in there, and I'll have it every night just for the next couple of weeks. Francis, you have my Christmas present yet?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. My Christmas present is getting to work with you every week, Francis. That's my Christmas present.
Well, then you have very low expectations, Bud Light, but that's okay. I appreciate it.
Been doing it a long time, and I appreciate all you do. By the way, you read him by going to GatorBait, and that's where his work. He's on there all the time. And really, if you want to follow Florida sports, there's nobody better to read than this guy right here, because he pounds it out, and he's one of the best basketball writers in the world, and pretty good football too. So he's got, we're a couple of old guys. What, he got like 100 years experience, friends, and we know a lot.
Between the two of us, we're close to it if we're not past.
Yeah, pretty much so. Well, great work. Keep it up, Francis. You be well. My best to your mom. Happy birthday belated. Catch up to you in a couple of days. All right, buddy?
Appreciate it.
Great Franz Beard. All right, folks, thanks to our sponsors tonight, and thanks to the guests. We had a good guest list tonight. Couldn't get them all on. You heard Franz, of course, earlier in the program. Shane Matthews, David Whitley, and a bright young man you're hearing a lot from these days. You'll hear more Kyle Curtis. Thank you to our sponsors, of course, Meldon Law and Titan MRI and the folks at Main Street Community Bank, where you see the screen M, Restar, Radical Research, all those folks. Thank you for that. We will catch you. By the way, we have a podcast now on online if you want to go to YouTube and see it, and we'll be doing more and more in the future. Thanks very much, folks. Have a good night. Back at you tomorrow night. David Moulton will join us among other people on the Buddy Martin Show. Have a great night, and we'll see you on the other side.